We don't. We're going to be beholden to China. We're just going to be transformed. We're going to be a very different country. We're going to have to get used to like 20% unemployment. We're going to have to get used to high interest rates. We're going to have to get used to more people on welfare. I don't want to do that. Hopefully, and the American people seem to be waking up. Tea Party movements are a good example of that. Hopefully, it's just going to have to stop. 25.4% of GDP. Think of that. And the federal government is the biggest banker, biggest loaner, debtor, creditor, employer. We've come a long way since the founding of this country and the founding principles. There's just no way. It's going to all have to be cut back. We have no choice. But you know what the beauty of that is? It might hurt a little bit, the pockets of the government at first, but you know what happens if the government really starts to cut back? Gets out of people's lives? The private sector will thrive. Not only that, but it will encourage people to take care of themselves. It will encourage individual responsibility. And then the private sector will have more money, have less regulations. Businesses will boom. They won't have to pay all these high taxes. They're going to have to take, the private sector is going to, have to take up a lot of the slack. But it will thrive because of it. It will thrive because they won't have to worry about the uncertainty of the government constantly getting involved. Like Obama, with what he's doing with Wall Street and the banks right now, he's all for raising capital gains tax. He's all for raising taxes on banks. He's all for raising taxes on rich. And when I mean rich, I mean small business owners as well. Don't kid yourself. It's not just people like Bill Gates. He said over $250,000. That's a lot of small business owners. But once the government's out of the way, think about what they'll do. Think about it. Business will be created and it will thrive. People will be able to get jobs because they'll hire people. They'll have to. We'll be able to start our own businesses without having to worry about all these overbearing regulations and taxes. That's the beauty of it. But we have to take the pain for a little bit right now. Cut back on all this. Really roll it back. It's going to take a long time. But we have no choice. We cannot afford this debt. We just can't do it. Well, I'm going to play a song here. And when I get back, I'm going to talk about how Iran is playing cat and mouse. Yeah, I said that before. And when I say they're playing cat and mouse, I mean literally. And to deal with this Iran situation, I actually agree with something Obama did. I know it's saying a lot. I'm supposed to be just some Republican hack who just agrees with Republicans and hates Obama just because I do. No, I'm actually a person of common sense who, thinks through things before he says things. Yeah. You are listening to the Michael Yaffee program, wnsc.ucf.edu online radio. You are listening to the Michael Yaffee program, wnsc.ucf.edu online radio. If you want to email me and comment on how much you hate the show, my email address is michael.yaffee, that's michael.yaffee at nights, that's with a K, at nights.ucf.edu. Also, check out my blog, and you can comment on my blog and listen to some of my older shows. It's michaelyaffee.blogspot.com. So, Iran. What are we going to do with them? They're still with their nuclear program. They're still defying UN resolutions. And yet I actually agree with how Obama's handling this. This is from Reuters. From Reuters. U.S., and this is according to Tehran, capital of Iran, all those who don't know, U.S. fighting psychological war in the Gulf. That's what Iran says. Iran accused the United States on Thursday of launching a psychological war in the Gulf region by presenting Tehran as a threat to Gulf Arab states to convince them they needed U.S. protection. U.S. officials said on Sunday the United States had expanded land and sea-based missile defense systems in and around the Gulf, a waterway crucial for global oil supplies to counter what it sees as Iran's growing missile threat. The U.S. deployments include expanded land-based Patriot defensive missile installations in Kuwait, Qatar. Wow, I am just a professional broadcaster. The United Arab Emirates and Bahrain. I agree with Obama here. He is, for once, he is standing up. We're not going to just talk to them anymore. We have to deal with Iran sometime. It's a delicate situation. We can't just go in there bombing right now. We can't do that. So what do? How do we tell them that we mean business? How do we tell them the United States means business? Well, Obama and the U.S. military, they're sending the Patriot missile defense systems over there, which would counter any missile attack from them. That's the general idea. And really, Tehran's right. We are playing a psychological war. We're telling them, look, we can't tolerate you having nuclear weapons. We cannot do it. We cannot tolerate you threatening other countries in the Middle East. We can't. So we have to send these Patriot missiles. We will fight against you if we have to. That's the message we're sending, and I like that message. I really do. Unfortunately, there was a missile test earlier this year that was supposed to be sort of test if North Korea or Iran shot a missile at us, and it failed because of radar interference. And I mean, that's worrisome. These Patriot missiles are no good unless they work. But we have to do something. We have to do something, and I believe Obama's doing the right thing here. You know, it's probably not going to be enough. You know, Iran, they're very, they're crazy. They're religious ideologues, radicals. Well, we have to do something. And this at least sends a message. And I think it sends a good message. We're not going to put up with this anymore. UN sanctions aren't going to work. But as I said, it's probably not going to be enough because this is according to the Times Online, UK. Mahmoud Ahmadinejad plays game of cat and mouse with West over nuclear deal. This story is quite something. President Ahmadinejad demonstrated yesterday that he has become a master of playing cat and mouse with the West. And this time the mouse was real. That's why I said literally. Once again, the Iranian leader offered a last-minute concession to head off the West's drive for new sanctions against the Islamic Republic. At the same time, Iran thumbed its nose at UN restrictions on its ballistic missiles program by sending a rocket into space carrying a mouse, 2 turtles, and some worms. Oh, poor turtles and a mouse. At least they got to get out of that wretched country. Actually, I don't want to say it's a wretched country because the majority of people in Iran don't like the young people. They don't really like this, but the regime there is wretched. And we have to stand up to them, and right now we're doing that. Political directors from the big 3 EU powers, Britain, France, and Germany, are to hold a telephone conference call with their U.S. counterpart tomorrow before consulting Russia and China later in the day. And fortunately, Russia and China are, they're trading with them, so they're not helping us. So, it's a delicate situation. What do? They keep thumbing their nose at the UN. They keep thumbing their nose at the U.S. They say they don't want nuclear missiles, but every indication that they want a nuclear weapon. Every indication says that we know what this regime's up to. We know what they believe. We know it's crazy. And we know how much they talk about getting rid of Israel. We have to help Israel. We have to stand up to them. We can't. If they had nuclear weapons, it could really damage not only the Middle East, but world trade. A lot of oil comes from the Middle East, but we trade in a global market, and that world trade, the price of oil could spike. It's just a bad situation. We have to stand up to them somehow. We just do. Iran agreed to the enriched uranium swap that talks with the U.S., China, Russia, Britain, France, and Germany in October under the pressure that accompanied the exposure of its secret enrichment plant at QOM. Since then, however, it has repeatedly pulled back from an agreement seeking to rewrite the terms and flouting deadlines. Of course they have. They're playing a game of cat and mouse, that's for sure. They're sending mice into space, but, on Earth they're playing a game of cat and mouse too. We know what they're up to, okay? And we can't tolerate it, but it's a delicate situation. We can't just send in troops. We're in Iraq and Afghanistan. But we have to send some kind of message, and Obama is doing that. He and the military they're sending over these Patriot missiles. We're saying we're going to defend ourselves against you, and I think it's a good move.